Alrighty guys, how's it going? Well, today we have Nvidia's earnings, so we'll take a look at that, especially right now. As for this morning, what is the price action doing on Nvidia? As you know, as per my last video, we did lose a critical zone which has constantly thereafter has acted as a rejection zone. But hey, let's not jump ahead of ourselves. Let's go one at a time because we'll also take a look at Micron, Sandisk, SK Hynix, Seagate, AMD, ARM, Intel, Marvel, all that good stuff in this video. Now, before going further, as always, none of this is any financial advice, only for education purposes, just sharing my opinion. Please do your own thing. Now, look, so today is definitely a big day, right? Because Nvidia is reporting its earnings and it's one of those behemoths that will have ripple effect across the industry. As you know, going into the earnings, pretty much, as I have been telling you, as per the anticipation, Nvidia, like everything is a little bit cooling off, either going sideways or selling off mostly from pretty much last week. Even like Nasdaq 100 has been cooling off, which it was extended, but still, right? Nvidia's earnings today will bring back either the excitement in the moves across memory, semiconductors, and many other tech stocks, because Nvidia sorta is like interlinked, and everything kind of goes through and out of Nvidia right now. So what is the price action telling us? Well, first of all, we were in the multi-day weakness after losing 222. I have been telling you this in my all recent last videos. Once we started to approach and lose 222, I mentioned that we will remain in the multi-day weakness, which means you got to start managing your position, start getting out from the time you built down there, because that was the bullish run up for us. Now, any last bit of position that was left until 213, that's the hard stop loss, because that's where the full structure broke, and thereafter you can see bounces and rebounds along the ways are selling off. Now, yesterday a video did not come out on my public channel, but I did the video for my members, so where I talked about everything like the memory, chip, tech, AI, all that good stuff. If you want to not miss out any day the video when it doesn't come out on public channel, consider becoming a member. Details of the memberships you will find in the description of this video. So we precisely rejected the zone, right? The one that I mentioned is now a strong resistance, and we bounced yesterday, but rejection like it played out as expected, and today we are seeing again a continuation to the downside. Now, earnings being earnings, there is no correlation with the price action. Anything can happen. Everything could be great, price may fall. Everything could be bad, price may go up. There is no correlation. So definitely risk manage going into the earnings. If you're not comfortable with the unknown, just don't have any position through the earnings, and afterwards again rebuild or re-enter the position. Having said that, let's talk about a little bit more of a bigger picture here through the earnings, the possibilities. Now, price action, I would say, is not looking really good, that if it's wanna gap up. Likelihood of that, at least right now, looking at the price action, is limited, but as you know, no one knows what's gonna happen through the earnings. So as if we stay above, so let's take a look at possibilities of the price action in the long running horizon, that we can at least get some understanding of how do we position ourselves after the earnings. And in that case, let's say if gap down happens on Nvidia, as long as we don't lose this 194 area, there is not a technical problem in the chart of Nvidia. Yes, Nvidia can even gap down, but as if it can stay above 194, it eventually will again just go sideways or stabilize, but you will be actually forgiven from much more downside. Okay, so that's not going to happen as we stay above 194 area. If we have to gap up, like what we really have to see in the gap up, we have to see it gap up above 230 around. Well, yeah, 227, 230 around. We have to see a gap up above that, otherwise it won't be able to clear the resistance. All right, better if we just make a new all-time highs, which right now Nvidia has been so matured, right? Like even after really great beats in whole last year, the price never really strongly gapped up, which tells you that the stock price has matured in a way that whatever the economic or this whole, the infrastructures runway existed, it sorta has gotten to its max. Okay, so there may be not much runway in the valuation in the price action left, because earnings are the only thing that gives the catalyst to the price move based off of the valuation. So anyhow, where I stand in the camp is like only above 230. And if, let's say if something happens, as I said, no one knows, right? So if something happens really that we see a gap up above like 230, then we can start a new run up on this thing to the new highs. Otherwise, right now, new highs are a little bit, I would say, out of the reach. Where I stand is that I think we might just see choppiness on Nvidia today after the earnings, and days to come from here. I think Nvidia stock may just stay choppy. So that's my take on it. But anyways, let's see what the earnings do today. And with that, let's jump on to now Micron. So Micron has been giving us green day yesterday, and so is today. I've told you about a zone, a level that so far, yes, we did lose a momentum below 930. We have to regain above that before we start to again give some stability to the stock price. Now, it did bounce back and forth between 915 significant level and 930, which technically is a good sign. And today we are already above 930. As we can now continue to hold this very zone 915 to 930, as we stay above it, technically it is recovering to the upside again. Okay, so that's pretty much what you need to watch. As long as we hold 915 and 930 zone, you are fine on Micron to the upside. But look, Nvidia's earnings may do something that you need to be aware about. And so as long as nothing really breaks anything, the sentiment of the forward looking guidance, these things will be fine in their given direction, which Micron 915 to 930 is to the upside. This is what we wanted to see when the momentum escaped 2 days ago. We wanted to see the follow through days give it some stabilization above those zones that I mentioned, and we are seeing that, so that's a good sign. Sandisk is also in the loss of momentum from last few days. For Sandisk though, we are not yet enough stable for the upside, which is only above $1,514, this significant level. We still have to get above it for the upside push. Okay, right now that is not there. It is still in the weakness and in the multi-day weakness. That is the lack of momentum below 1514. It's not overall bearish though. I would still say that it's still in the multi-day weakness, not overall bearish, which is technically a pullback. It's a deeper pullback. 1500 is what we have. $1,514 is what we have to see it start closing above to resume its stability. SK Hynix is still fine, not that bad. Okay, it is with, look, as long as it's above 150 area, we are fine, and so all good so far. It's gonna take time. It's just wanna a little bit go sideways. Okay, Seagate. So it's doing its sideways choppiness again, but is it to the upside momentum right away? The answer is almost. So lately, well, previously it was 885, but once we lost a significant level below, then this was the next zone. 840 is what we had to get above, significant level that I have been telling you and my members. 840 above is today, it's doing it, so it is recovering. It is again gaining an upside direction, and from here, if today we can commit the day close above 840, strength will start to come back in on this thing. We have to stay above 840, but once we commit above 840, we can then also use 802 significant level as a potential pullback zone only, but we have to see a commit above a significant level, and that is a recovery on this thing to the upside. As I have been previously telling you that yes, it is in the weakness below 935, but overall I really don't think it's like a good short bearish like forever to the downside. I really don't think so. So let's see if it can start committing the recovery over here. Nvidia, we just talked about AMD, guys. So AMD did recover yesterday. I did talk about it with my members yesterday. 468 above, it recovered, and so it's slowly and slowly bouncing up, but I am not like super bullish on this thing right now. It's, for me, it's just still multi-day strength. That's all what it is, which is, I would still argue it's a part of a rebound. But let's say Nvidia's earnings, what it does, if it pushes AMD above 500, well, AMD can pick up the momentum, but we'll see. Right now for me, it's just a bounce day on AMD, nothing more than that, which is from yesterday a multi-day strength, which if you have seen my over the weekend members video as well, and prior to that as well, that was the very zone on AMD we are watching, as if we 468 above is where things will near term start to turn back to the upside. ARM still remains negative, guys. If any upside you have to see on this thing, that will be only above if we get above 256 at this point. Otherwise, no, it will remain weak. Intel also $9,500. It is weak and it remains weak. Let's see if Nvidia's earnings do something, saves it. We'll see that. Marvell has its earnings tomorrow, so again, just keep that in mind. It is bullish though. I told you about this very zone, that until here overall we are bullish, and it found a bounce there and then also recovered from the multi-day weakness after gaining a significant level above 230. Get my tools. Everything is marked by my tools automatically for you to understand the risk management, to understand the price action. And then we just continued, up there. So marking this the pullback complete above 230, and overall it remains bullish. Bottom I gave you down at 170. So you already made good money there. And if you want to make a lot more money on many other stocks, consider joining the memberships. Okay, details are in the description of this video. Alrighty guys, that's all I had, and with that, we'll see you in the next videos. Take care, bye.